right, welcome everyone to 414 Web and Social Media Analytics. We are going to be installing Tableau together today. So everything in this class we are taking step at a time. Do not worry if you have never used Tableau before. That is perfectly fine. And think of it as something just like Adobe Illustrator if you're a designer, or some other software like Microsoft Office, like Word. It is not as crazy and daunting as it may seem at first, just because there's a few different elements in the user interface and a few things to get used to. And we're just going to look at that a little bit today. The real assignment next week is just a first step in looking at some Facebook data that we pull in there. It'll be pretty simple, but we are just going to get going and look at installing Tableau and then using it a little bit. But firstly, I wanted to talk about why we want to do that. So Tableau itself is a data visualization platform. So it's not really meant to modify underlying data. It's meant for people like designers and business people to visualize the data they have, make calculations, and display it in the way they want to tell a data story without modifying a database that the technical folks will be working with. So it's a extremely popular and grew incredibly fast because of the way that they created that. And what's amazing, beyond how you would do something in Excel where you'd create graphs, you were able to stitch together a lot of different data. And that's what's really important here, because beyond just web visit data that you have through Google Analytics or Adobe, if you're looking at a bigger company, we can look at social media data, bring in user data, campaigns, advertising, influencer marketing, and kind of bring that full picture of both what's happening internally and externally and a user journey, and look at all of the elements that make that happen. And that opens up our opportunities to optimize it, to look at new potential strategies, and so much more, and see how one variable affects something downstream. So we are super excited to use Tableau as a tool with you. It is a highly sought after skill that will be excellent on your resume and in interviews and in your early career, and we can apply the principles of analytics with it in this class. So that was a little bit long, but we can go ahead and look at the install page. So if you have this up in Canvas, the important thing here is the product key, which changes each semester, and they are gracious enough to give students access to this for that time. It is normally at least $70 a month plus corporate fees for servers and things like that. So it is quite generous that they do that for us. And you will download the latest version there. So we can click that link, go to Tableau, and you can see this, where you will download Tableau Desktop, and you can use your Miami email. And there, so it'll give you instructions on how to install, and then you can register with your accounts. So go ahead and do that and walk through those steps. So then you will activate your, in this case, you don't have a short trial like normally you would download this if you were in the public. I think you get a 14-day. You'll have the full semester plus I think a week or so I made just in case, and we should be good to go. So go ahead and get Tableau, pause this, get Tableau open, and we will pick back up when you have that installed and good to go. All right, so what we need first is some data before we open up Tableau and bring it in. So I like to have fun with data. So there's so much of this digital trail we have out there, whether it's in social media or in other apps. So I'm going to actually pull in all of my Amazon order data and do that. So if you actually wanted to do this for fun on your own, you can do this, but you can use any piece of data you'd like. You can go to your account, your orders, order history report, and you can choose that with the start and end dates. Goes all the way back to 2006 now, even though Amazon was around before that, but that's as far as they've got in this database. And you can request that report and it'll run it. And so you can see I have one processing there, and you can then download what will be a CSV file. So a CSV file is a comma separated file. It's kind of like Excel, but a lot simpler, and you'll usually be bringing in either an Excel or a CSV into Tableau. So we're going to pop into Tableau. So go ahead and open that. Now that we're going to bring in this CSV file. All right, so here is the opening screen of Tableau. You'll see it's trying to update to 2020. That's fine. You can go ahead and do that if you would like. These are the recently opened things, just like anything else. They also have some examples here. There's sample workbooks below that you can check out. You can click more, and they have a bunch of other ideas, but you can check that out on the Tableau page. So there's the Viz gallery. So that's the shortened version of visualization. They have some pretty neat ones there. They can get kind of complex, but we're going to keep it really simple right now. And you go to either connect to data to a file or a server. We're not going to get too complicated with the server stuff here. There are a couple things we may do. Notice you can connect to Google Sheets if you'd like, or a web data connector, but most of the time in this class, we're going to be exporting from some other system, whether that's Google Analytics or Facebook, and bringing it in as either in Excel, or you can click more, and it does know how to do a CSV file. So I'm going to pull in the CSV file that I exported from Amazon and that order data. And so here is all of my order data. So wow, that's bringing in some old data back when I was going to grad school and taking the GMAT. So there's the order there in 2007. So this is the data source tab. So there's two main sections we're going to be here is like where you would create these worksheets where they have the graphs, and then this data source tab that has the actual data that it's pulling in. And you'll notice Tableau does a lot of things automatically. It figured out the order dates. There was a date. So the type of data is there by the icon. You can see date, and then ABC is string, and then number is a measure. And so we've got a number of those things there. You can change that if it gets it wrong, like it thinks it's a, like if you wanted that to be a number and not a string, but for order ID, you want a string. If it was like the amount of an order, that would be a measure. So you would change that in that case by clicking ABC and changing it to the one that fits, but picks up on most of those things. The other section we're going to go to and spend a lot of time in are the sheet sections. So you can make a new sheet like that, just like you would in Excel or some of the other things, and you can rename it here. So I'm going to do, let's say, ordered by category. You'll figure all this out as you go along, but that's just what I already kind of know I want to see. And in this table section, you'll notice there's a divider here. And so there's this concept, which we'll get into next week and later throughout the semester, is a dimension versus a measure. So the dimensions are things like categories or dates that you kind of look at what is changing across those things. So a date is probably the best example. Category is a really good one as well. So I'm going to put category because I want to know, how much am I spending in each of these categories on Amazon. So I'm going to drop that into columns, and then I'm going to take, let's say, item total. So now we have a graph already that fast. Without much effort, it knows all of the categories and it knows the sum of the total. So it automatically summed it. And talk about the other things you can do, like averages and stuff later, but this is a very good start. And we'll cover all sorts of things to make this look a lot better, but you can also flip the rows and columns like this. So that looks a little bit more visible, and then these are sort. So I'm going to sort that descending. So now the highest category is there. I also noticed that, let's see, 6K, that's in dollars. I'd like to see it do that. So I'm going to right click on that, click format, numbers, and currency. I don't want any decimals because that's, too detailed for me. So now you can see that a little bit better. And we're just getting started here. Just wanted to show you the basic things. There's also this marks area here. So that's where you change like what kind of line you have. There's also up here the different types of graphs. So depending on how many dimensions and measures you are, different types of graphs will light up that you could switch to. So you can do pie charts and circle charts and line charts and all of those, and some may or may not apply depending on the number of dimensions and measures. You can also do all sorts of color work, and we'll get into that and design much more in the rest of the semester, but just kind of getting you familiar with this is the section where you would change things like that, where you can add labels and all of that sort of stuff. Tooltips are hovers. So in Tableau terminology, that's a tooltip. You can also customize that and bring in all sorts of information. So I don't want to go too crazy here in the first week or two, but just getting started. Those are the things you would see and just kind of get familiar with what are the other uh, menu items and what can you do and try, right clicking like, oh, like no, that doesn't have, that has a lot of money spent on it, but it doesn't really tell me anything about that. So maybe if I'm presenting, I don't want to see that one. It's not useful maybe for that type of analysis that I'm doing. So you can get rid of that. So yeah, all sorts of stuff to learn. Just check it out, explore, try switching things around, try uh, doing different things and just see what works, what doesn't work. This is more of let's not find the right answer this week. Let's just try different things and have fun and explore, try different graph charts, see what works and what doesn't, and you will be good to go. So just getting going. Super excited to have you with me this semester, and we will learn all of this stuff at a time. Don't worry, you're perfect right where you are at, and it'll be great.